Many people doubt Meghan has long been a mother, following her attendance at Northwestern University.
That information came direct from Meghan's ex-husband, Trevor Engelson, via an intermediary. And obviously Trevor Engelson is a very successful TV producer. He now has his own family. He's very happy. He hasn't spoken on the record.
I'm sorry. I of course choose you.
Okay. Great.
Look, I need you to forget everything you think you know about Meghan Markle for just a minute. Because what I'm about to walk you through isn't some recycled tabloid headline or another tired hot take about her relationship with the royals. This goes deeper than that. Way deeper. For years, we've been fed the same story on repeat. Girl from LA makes it as an actress, catches a prince's eye, becomes a duchess, lives happily ever after. Classic modern fairy tale, right? The media wrapped it up with a bow, sold it to millions, and most people bought it without asking questions. But here's the thing about fairy tales. They only work when you don't look too closely at what's hiding in the margins.
Meghan began dating Joe Giuliano, and the couple got married after having a child when Meghan was almost 20.
Joshua Silverstein was her very first boyfriend. They were both only 30.
According to reports, Noelle was born in or around 1999, which fits the timeline perfectly.
It is pretty extraordinary, isn't it? I mean, I think she's just got so used to lying that maybe, in my opinion, she believes the lies she tells. I don't know, but either way, she's just been so consistently loose with the truth.
He must have been so devastated at the time with the way that he was treated, but actually he dodged a bullet. He has his dignity. He's still working in the industry.
He's moved on. He has put Meghan behind him. He probably is not interested in people bringing up his past relationship. He has 3 children now with his new wife.
And Meghan's story? It's got margins you could drive a truck through. Because tucked away in those margins, buried under years of careful image management and polished PR, there's a rumor that refuses to die. Not your average celebrity gossip either. This is the kind of claim that, if true, doesn't just crack her carefully constructed public image, it shatters it completely. We're talking about allegations that Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex, the woman who built an empire on reinvention and control, might already be a grandmother. Yes, you read that right. A grandmother. At 44.
Markle is one of the most ruthless social climbers I've ever met in my entire life. And anyone who thinks she wants to get out of the fame element of all this is living in cloud cuckoo.
Now, before you click away thinking this is just another conspiracy theory cooked up in some internet basement, hear me out. Because this rabbit hole doesn't start with random speculation. It starts with names, dates, sealed court documents, and a missing year in Meghan's timeline that nobody has ever been able to properly explain. And the deeper you dig, the more the official story starts to feel like it's been written by someone with something to hide. So let's go back, way back. Before the palace, before the paparazzi, before every outfit choice became front page news. Back when Meghan wasn't the Duchess of Sussex, but just Rachel Meghan from Los Angeles. A girl with big dreams, trying to make it in Hollywood, like thousands of others. That version of Meghan barely exists in the public consciousness anymore. It's been erased, rewritten, polished, until it's almost unrecognizable. But there was one person who knew that version of her. Really knew her. And according to whispers that have never quite gone away, he saw a side of Meghan's life that the rest of us were never meant to know about. His name gets thrown around in royal gossip circles all the time, usually as a footnote. But what if he's been sitting on the biggest secret of all?
Narcissist who cannot get enough of herself while she simultaneously plays the victim. My castle's too small. The queen is me.
What if the reason Meghan's past feels so carefully curated is because there are chapters that were deliberately torn out? The story doesn't begin at a Hollywood premiere or some glamorous Beverly Hills party. It starts in Las Vegas. But not the Vegas you're picturing. Not the high roller suites or celebrity-packed nightclubs. We're talking about a small, off-strip chapel. The kind of place where Elvis impersonators make rent by marrying strangers at 2 a.m. The kind of place where people go when they want something done quickly and quietly.
The only person who can really clear this up outside of Meghan herself is Trevor Engelson, who until this point has kept a total dignified silence, despite the fact that Meghan treated him so appallingly, even sending back their engagement ring via the post.
Picture this. Meghan Markle, barely 18 years old, no fame, no cameras, no fanfare. Just a young woman standing across from a man named Joe Giuliano, two family members sitting as witnesses. And according to people who claim to have seen the paperwork, Meghan signed an actual marriage certificate that day. No designer gown, no magazine spread, no guest list. Just a quiet ceremony in Sin City that almost nobody knew about.
We know via Tom Bower that Meghan Markle returned her engagement ring to Trevor Engelson via the post. But the fact that you're actually so blatant in terms of the fact that you want this famous royal, and specifically you want Prince Harry, because you know my reporting on Meghan Markle's early life in London, Angela, made it very clear that she was looking for a celebrity.
And here's where things get complicated. That marriage didn't end the way you'd expect. No messy divorce filings, no public splits. Instead, it ended with an annulment. Now, if you're not familiar with the legal distinction, an annulment is basically the court system's way of pretending a marriage never happened at all. Poof, gone, like it was erased from history. In Nevada, annulments are notoriously easy to seal. You file the paperwork, pay the fees, and just like that, the records disappear. No paper trail, no public archive, nothing for anyone to dig up later. On paper, Meghan Markle was never married to Joe Giuliano. Clean slate. But here's the question that keeps nagging at people who've been following this story. Why go through the trouble of sealing something unless there's a reason you don't want anyone finding it?
Meghan Markle is the flea in the ointment who continues to ruin the increasingly rancid relationship.
And that's exactly where the timeline gets interesting. According to Meghan's official biography, she took a gap year before starting college. Traveled the world, found herself, all that wholesome coming-of-age stuff. Sounds nice, doesn't it? Except there's a problem. Nobody can actually account for that year. No travel photos, no study abroad records, no documented trips. Just a blank space in her timeline that raises more questions than it answers.
Down-to-earth people she grew up with, her half-brother Thomas Markle Jr. and half-sister Samantha. Meanwhile, the Duchess adopts her practiced actress smile, puts on a dazzling display of unbridled joy.
Now the Giuliano family tells a different story, and their version doesn't involve Meghan sipping cappuccinos in European cafes. They claim she spent that missing year in Chicago, quietly, away from anyone who knew her. And during that time, somewhere around mid-1995, the rumors take a dark turn. Because according to sources close to the Giulianos, Meghan didn't just bury a teenage marriage during that year. They allege she had a baby, a daughter. Not publicly, not with birth announcements or baby showers. Completely under the radar, with the Giuliano family allegedly stepping in to raise the child as their own. They supposedly made a pact, an agreement that would let Meghan walk away from that chapter of her life without anyone ever connecting the dots. And one relative, according to these persistent whispers, described it with a sentence that's haunted this story ever since. She was Meghan's before she was ours. That's not the kind of thing you just brush off as coincidence.
So it makes sense. Oh my God, I've got to keep everybody away because if they start talking, the lies come out.
So think about this for a second. Meghan disappears for an entire year. No real explanation, no trace of where she actually was or what she was doing. Then she resurfaces at Northwestern University, completely reinvented. Polished, focused, ambitious. Like nothing before that moment even mattered. No late-night calls to check in on anyone. No awkward family visits. Nothing. Just total silence. Like she'd closed a door on her past and locked it from the inside. That's not just moving on. That's a complete identity reset. Goodbye, Rachel from LA, the girl with complicated history. Hello, Meghan Markle, the woman with a future. It was clean, it was decisive, and it looked suspiciously like something out of a script.
Given her appearance, Noelle does share some similarities with Joe and Meghan, and she's even more like Meghan.
But real life doesn't usually allow for clean breaks like that. And when someone's past disappears that thoroughly, it usually means someone worked hard to make sure it stayed hidden. But even the best cover-ups leave traces. And in Meghan's case, those traces show up in the strangest places. Take her birth year, for example. Officially, she was born in 1981. Simple enough. Except old alumni records, random event programs, and half-remembered conversations point to something different. Some suggest 1977. Others go as far back as 1975. And if any of those dates are accurate, then Meghan wasn't the wide-eyed teenager we've been told about. She was older. which suddenly makes a Las Vegas marriage and a 1995 baby fit into the timeline with unsettling precision. And it's not like questionable paperwork would be new territory for Meghan. Remember Archie's birth certificate? When it was first filed, it listed her full legal name, Rachel Meghan Markle, standard stuff. Then, a few weeks later, it was mysteriously updated. Her name was scrubbed and replaced with just her title, Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Sussex. Palace officials played it off as a routine clerical correction. Nothing to see here. Move along.
Was researching the prince online and found out that the prince is now duped, so I can now go ahead and marry him. At that stage, Meghan contacted Joe, told him that, look, if you open your mouth, I'm gonna sue.
But insiders weren't buying it. They pointed out that no other royal mother, not Diana, not Kate, not anyone, had ever had their birth certificate altered like that. It wasn't just unusual, it was unprecedented. And every time something like that happens, every time official documents get quietly changed, it makes you wonder what else might have been smoothed over before Meghan ever stepped into the spotlight. Because if a royal birth certificate can be altered in plain view, imagine how easy it would have been to quietly bury records from decades ago.
Extremely dominant, and they know how to play the vulnerability card.
Records from a time when Meghan was just another girl in LA with no reason for anyone to be paying attention. Now let's fast forward to today. If Meghan really did have a daughter back in 1995, that girl wouldn't be a child anymore, she'd be pushing 30. And here's where the rumor gets even more explosive. Whispers suggest that daughter already has a child of her own, which would make Meghan Markle, the Duchess, the brand, the woman who spent years controlling every detail of her public image, a grandmother, in secret. Just imagine the absolute chaos that would cause if it ever came out.
Hi, Nanny. I got an English award. And right now we're in Beverly Hills, and we're gonna pass the Beverly Hilton Hotel, where I'll be on Sunday meeting.
And it's not like there's no evidence people remember things. Neighbors in Chicago have allegedly mentioned seeing a young girl at Giuliano family gatherings over the years. Never explained, never introduced properly, just there. Blended into the family like she belonged, but with a strange silence around her identity. No one asking questions, no one pushing for answers. Just quiet acceptance. If that girl was real, and if she's grown into an adult with a child of her own, then everything Meghan has built, every carefully crafted narrative, every polished interview, falls apart.
What could the motive be for keeping both sides of the family away?
That's right.
The stories would come out.
Because the timeline doesn't work anymore. The fairy tale doesn't hold up. And suddenly, all those gaps in her story stop looking like innocent omissions and start looking like deliberate cover-ups. Here's what makes this truly dangerous for someone like Meghan. She spent years micromanaging every single aspect of her public image. The way she poses for photos, the way paparazzi just happen to catch her at the perfect angle in Montecito, the way every brand partnership feels meticulously planned. It's all about control. Every headline, every narrative, every story gets filtered through layers of PR until it looks exactly the way she wants it to. But if this rumored hidden family ever stepped into the light, that's control she could never get back. You can't spin your way out of bloodlines. You can't PR your way around DNA.
Where Megyn Kelly reveals that Meghan Markle married for money, that she planned it all from the beginning, and the vision board with Prince Harry on it was revealed to her by someone who knew Trevor Engelson.
No amount of carefully staged paparazzi shots or glossy magazine interviews can erase the reality of a secret child, especially if that child has a child of their own. Think about how that would play out. Meghan's entire brand is built on being the relatable modern mom, the California lifestyle guru selling jam and podcasts, the woman who walked away from the palace to live her truth. But how do you keep selling that image when a ghost from your teenage years could show up with proof that your whole timeline is a lie? How do you maintain the illusion of authenticity when your past includes a daughter you allegedly walked away from? That's the nightmare scenario for someone who's built an empire on image. Because once the story writes itself, once someone else holds the truth, you're not the author anymore. You're just the headline. And for Meghan, that loss of control would be catastrophic. Trevor Engelson, the man who was married to Meghan long before Prince Harry ever entered the picture, allegedly said something once that didn't make much sense at the time. Something along the lines of, Meghan's story isn't what people think it is. Back then, it sounded like bitter ex-husband talk. Just vague bitterness from someone who'd been left behind. But in hindsight, that whisper has started to sound a lot louder.
But this woman is nothing but a publicity whore. It's a term of art. We broke the news that she had Prince Harry on her vision board when she was younger. That was her goal, #goal, to marry Prince Harry. So it was all about getting the title. She's done that now. Now she's just stuck with this depressed ginger who has absolutely no family, no friends, and no money. This was not part of the plan.
Because secrets don't stay buried forever. They hide in sealed court files. They linger in missing photo albums. They slip out in relatives, offhand comments. And eventually, they find their way back into the light. It's just a matter of time. So here's the real question. What happens if Meghan's alleged daughter ever learns the truth? What happens if she decides to go public? To look Meghan in the eye and say, "I know who you are." That's not just family drama. That's a scandal that would shake the foundation of everything Meghan has built. No palace PR team could spin that. No Netflix deal could bury it. Not Harry's memoir. Not Oprah's interviews. Nothing could shield her from the fallout. Because once the truth belongs to someone else, especially someone with blood ties, the narrative is out of Meghan's hands. And when control slips away, the fairy tale doesn't just crack. It explodes into a scandal the royals haven't seen in decades.
How does she see the children's, and she's put the children's in inverted commas, time being split between them, and how does she think their lives...
We're talking bigger than the Oprah interview, bigger than Megxit, bigger than anything Netflix could script. Because here's the raw truth nobody wants to say out loud. Meghan Markle, duchess, actress, influencer, global brand, might not just be the mother she's presented to the world. She might already be a grandmother, not in some distant future. Right now, today. And that flips everything. It's not a question of if this hidden chapter exists. It's a question of when it finally breaks into the open. And when that day comes, the headlines won't need exaggeration. The truth will be explosive enough on its own. Imagine the palace scrambling. Imagine the lawyers working overtime. Imagine Meghan staring down a revelation that makes every staged moment in Montecito look like child's play. Because if history has taught us anything, it's this. Secrets don't stay buried. They leak. They spread. And they surface at the absolute worst possible moment. So here's what I want to know from you. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Meghan's past will eventually catch up to her? Or will this chapter stay locked away forever, sealed behind whispers and missing records? Because something tells me the truth has a way of finding the light, no matter how deep you try to bury it. And if you found this breakdown as wild as I did, don't forget to smash that like button, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications. Because trust me, we've got plenty more royal drama lined up, and you definitely don't want to miss what's coming next. See you in the next one.